I went into Mufasa expecting the worst, and what I got was actually a film that is pretty okay. Let me get just the worst of this movie out of the way first before I get into what I actually enjoyed. The worst being everything that would qualify as a sequel to the Lion King remake. Everything with Simba, with his kid, with Timon and Pumbaa, all of that. Just get rid of it. Get rid of all of that, because all it did was, as the story of Mufasa was being told by Rafiki, they would keep cutting to the present, and it would just disrupt the flow, and it kind of sucked. Like, seriously, I don't know why nobody thought, why don't we just cut that and make the focus completely Mufasa, and make this movie all about him? Why do we need to lightly connect it to Simba? Like, at all? What's the point? You'd probably make the movie an hour and a half. It would be a great time. And yeah, I think it would have been so much more enjoyable, seriously. In terms of the actual Mufasa meat of the film, it's pretty good. Like, I was really surprised, actually, by how I felt about this. You know, you start with Mufasa, he's a little cub, he's with his parents, and he gets sent away by a flood that all of a sudden happens. He meets Scar, or Scar had a different name at the time, I can't remember, and he becomes a part of Scar's group of lions, and him and Scar start recognizing each other as brothers, and then they have to go on this adventure to run away from enemy lions a little later. So yeah, it's just this journey, and it's a pretty, like, just solid time. The music here is really good. I was happy with the music here. I think Lin-Manuel did a great job just coming up with some catchy, exciting songs. A couple of them were a little, like, meh, you know, rather than actually being good. I think the villain lion, I can't remember his name, just didn't have the best song. And the voice acting here too, I think, is so much better than the voice acting from The Lion King. I mean, they just genuinely got really solid voice actors here. Aaron Pierre, great job as Mufasa. Most of all, I was impressed by Kelvin Harrison, who was the voice of Scar in this film, because there is this point where he's like fun-loving, like childish type of Scar, and then he flips to the type of Scar that we know from the regular Lion King, the more calculated, cunning, evil almost type of Scar. And the voice has to completely change. And like, once that change happens, it's like, oh my god, like this is really impressive. The way he was able to flip his voice from like good Scar to not so good Scar. And I found it to just be really neat, a really neat touch. And I think any other voice actor, a lot of other voice actors, could have kind of half-assed it, and it would have been like fine, and they would have went with it. I feel like that's kind of how they went with it for the voice acting in the initial Lion King remake, but here they didn't do that. Like, they really had voice actors that were actually going for it, and I appreciated that. The filmmaking here is just more interesting. Like, Barry Jenkins, you do feel his presence as a director. There are some like interesting types of shots that this film goes for. A lot of just really good looking close-ups of these lions. Like, the visual effects here are pretty impressive. At times, like, really just when their mouths move, it feels really awkward. But when it's just like a close-up of like a lion looking out to the land in front of it, and you see like the lion's mane blowing in the wind, and just all of that, it's so well done, seriously. And the fights also, I thought, looked really good. And just overall, like, Barry Jenkins, although I don't think there was much he could have done here to make this film from a okay film to like a really great movie, he did what he could. At the end of the day, I'm just happy that it's not horrible like I think a lot of people expected it to be. I'm happy that it's like a fun watch, something that I would recommend. I'm gonna give it 3 stars, which again, like for me, 3 stars is not bad. Like really not bad at all. What about all of you? What did you think of Mufasa? Do you agree with my takes? Do you think it was horrible? Do you think it was actually really good? Please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to have a discussion about this film. I'll see you all in the next movie review. Take care.